Welcome to Art City Now. I'm Troy. On this episode, we're in Michigan looking at some street art by the Chicago-based artist TUBS. So this work by TUBS, I think it took place in 2017, and it was at a street art festival in Battle Creek, Michigan called Color the Creek. You can see it takes up the whole wall, and it's sort of at the foot of what used to be called the Heritage Tower up above, but is now called the Milton. But one of the things you can tell right away by looking at this work, at least for me, is that there's some calligraphy involved here, and if you look him up online, you'll see a lot of videos he makes about talking about calligraphy and sort of blurring the line between, I mean, this is what I took from it, blurring the line between the lines we use to communicate through written language and just the shapes and the lines of things becoming art. So you can really tell with this one, particularly the repetition and the colors of the lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is that? 6 different colors, 6 lines. It's a beautiful work. It's my favorite work here in the city, and the colors are great. I don't know how he got this. I don't know if this thing was hand drawn. I mean, look at every single one, and they're different. The first time I saw this, I thought it was just the same thing, like a repetition, a minimalistic thing, and it is kind of minimal in a way. It's, if you look up close and look at the letters, they're definitely not the same. They're different. I don't know if they're all the same, all different, but God, that must have taken a long time. Apparently he knocked it out in 2 days. You can find him on Instagram at TUBZilla, and you can see on one of the comment threads he talks about doing it in 2 days. It's a beautiful work. It's downtown BC if you're interested in seeing it. One of the things that I really like about this one in particular, other than just like the simplicity of it and the colors and the design of each letter or symbol or whatever you want to call it in each line, is also this idea that you're taking what we think of as words or letters or numbers and turning them into artistic gestures like shapes and lines. For me, this was a huge thing when I was working at the Portland Art Museum in 2015. I really started to fall in love with Chinese contemporary art. Nobody ever went into those galleries. They were just kind of there, and they were very quiet. It was kind of a good place to go to get away, but towards the end of my employment there, we had these like large canvases where Chinese artists, I can't read Chinese, I can't read the language, so to me it looked almost like a blur between written language and artistic gestures of shapes and lines. And that's what this reminds me of. It reminds me of that, except the difference is that the works that I was seeing at that time were kind of abstract, kind of free form, whereas this has a clear form. This has a repeated pattern of 6 lines, 6 different colors. Even if every number or letter within it is different, it follows sort of a format, which I love. I love repetition more than anything. Even if they were the same letter, I think it would be great. But getting up close to it now for the first time, I think, driving by it many times, but for the first time getting up close, you can really see all the detail. One of the other things that I really like about this, getting up close to it, is you can see the sort of the splatter happening on the sides. Now that's interesting to me because you can see it all throughout, actually. If you look up there, a lot of artists try to take complete control of what's happening, and maybe him letting go of the control of paint sort of outside of the shapes and sort of the splatter that happens. A lot of people would be afraid to do that, because if you spend all that time making these gestures, these beautiful lines, these beautiful symbols, I don't even know what to call it, symbols or markings, maybe. A lot of people with that splatter would be afraid they would ruin it or cover it up or whatever, but you can see that he's just going for it, and it feels like a lot of artists wouldn't go for something like that because they want to be kind of in complete control. Contemporary, like conceptual or abstract or expressionist painters probably would be more likely to do something like that. And I did find a couple of canvases that he had made. If you look at his Instagram account, you can scroll down and see that he does work in other forms, like not just street art or buildings, but also he had a few canvases with this type of design. There was one in there that was black and it had all red, like these lines, but it was all red. It was beautiful. Really interesting. I encourage you to check him out and you know, take a look at some of his work. So that's it for this episode. The first 5 episodes of Art City Now you can actually find on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, whatever they're calling it. And then we're switching to an audio format from here on out on YouTube. So I hope if you enjoyed the other podcasts, I hope you'll follow us, and I hope you'll subscribe. Click subscribe. Everything helps. That's YouTube gold right there. Likes, comments, whatever you want to do. And I'll put up some contact info for both us at Art City Now everywhere. Thisiswhereyouare.com is the website, and then I'll put up some information for TUBS out there. So, all right, until next time.